2, 1. Good afternoon.
Hi.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
And I know you're a very busy person, so thank you so much for coming in and doing this.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to just introduce yourself and introduce like what we're going to talk about and the big event you guys have coming up.
Okay, so my name is Cilena Trujillo. I actually own Bosswear Official. It's a women's activewear line. And what we're here to talk about is my nonprofit, Jump In2 School Bash, which is coming up in 3 weeks.
That's awesome.
So we're super excited.
I was going to say, this is your second year doing it?
Third year.
Third year. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And so I did a little bit of research, but I kind of wanted to go in a little bit blind so I could learn along with everybody else about this. Okay. It seems like this is something that was kind of birthed out of the pandemic. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So what made you, because like you just said, you have your own like fitness line. Has entrepreneurship, making your own, like having your own businesses, creating your own your own income, is that like something that's always been a part of your life, or is that more of a recent thing?
So I've been a business owner since 2017. I used to have a branding business called Boss Lady Branding, and I still do some branding, but during the pandemic, everyone was afraid to go shopping at the stores, right? Yeah. So I came up with something that actually helped me work on my own self-esteem, which was Bosswear Official, a women's activewear line. So I really use it to help women feel better within their own skin, within their own bodies, and that's what we do with the Bosswear. And so when the pandemic hit, it just gave me an opportunity to really come up with this thing that I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. So I was a foster child growing up. I aged out of the state, out of the system. And so since I was little, I've always wanted to do something to help kids. It's just always been in my heart, no matter what. I wasn't always able to do it until I started Bosswear Official. It kind of gave me that step. And it just kind of made it a little bit easier. And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, as we were coming out of the pandemic, I felt like we got to do something for these kids because, you were hearing about abuse and horrible stuff. So we did it outside because we can only be outside at the time. I think at the time the masks were just coming off. They weren't making us wear the masks so much anymore. Right. So I just, I found... did some research on an organization that kind of resembled something that I went through as a child. And so the last 2 years I helped the ranches. Okay. And so we started this on a half-acre parking lot on 4th and Manal. And the Bernalillo County posse heard about it, and they showed up to my event, which bring in like 300 to 400 people.
That's awesome.
They came and offered their arena, which went from like a half an acre to 10 acres. Yeah. So I was like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to go from like this little parking lot to 10 acres? How am I going to fill that up? But like God was just putting this in my heart. He was putting it in my heart, in my mind, and he was putting the right people into my path. So it just started working. So last year was the first year we did it at the arena, and it was huge. It was a huge turnout. There had to have been close to 2,000 people in and out of the arena. Wow. And with everyone involved. Yeah, it was pretty major. That's awesome. This year it's going our third year again, and since we've been like established, it's just growing like a wildfire.
That's awesome to hear. And New Mexico's needed something like this for a long time, but especially post-COVID, it's become, all the more essential. And you bring up like the abuse that was happening during the pandemic. I have a buddy of mine. I went to high school and college together, and he's a state police officer up in Clovis. And he was telling me about everything that's been going on. And they started actually doing the reporting. It's a very, anyone listening outside of New Mexico, Clovis is a very, very small town, small community. They maybe had a suicide a week, a suicide every 2 weeks, if that, very tiny compared to Albuquerque. Yeah. Very tiny. But in like the heart of the thick of the pandemic, they were getting 3 to 5 a week. Wow. And the domestic violence was skyrocketing, child abuse skyrocketing. So having something like this in place is awesome. I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores.
They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today.
Working to raise money for the Locker 505.
Great people.
I know that you had
Yeah, I
Kim
sat
on
down
your
with
show.
Kim. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Our goals and our dreams are just so similar that we just kind of connected. And I actually took my nieces to her, to Knocker 505 to pick out some clothes. And it just was like, where have you been? Like, where were you when we needed clothes when we were little? So it was powerful to see how she has structured her business, her nonprofit, and welcome these kids in. They all get their like private shopper, and I'm sure you know about it because she told you. But it just, as an auntie to my nieces, because they've had a similar upbringing as mine. We didn't let them go to the foster system because we knew they'd be lost. Yeah. So I kind of helped shelter them.
That's awesome.
During all the stuff they're going through. But when they went to this Locker 505, that was really the first time that I kind of seen what it was all about. And they took each of my nieces individual and made them comfortable, made them like, it was special to me because when children go through stuff like that, they really are bitter and like shy and timid, and my nieces are. And so was I growing up. So it was really awesome. So I was like, I got to work with this amazing woman.
And how long ago was that you would first taken them to their facility?
That was probably the end of last year.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And so how long has this partnership kind of like been in the works? Or like the first time you walked in, you're like, okay, this has to happen in one way, shape, or form. This has to.
So I actually was in a fashion show last year, and that's how I met Kim the first time.
Okay.
I was one of the first fashion shows that she had. I was one of the designers. And that's how I met her. And throughout the years, I was, hear about her. And I'd meet her again at networking events. And it just like we kept connecting. And I was like, so I had a meeting with her one day, and I asked like if she would be interested in being one of the beneficiaries for this event that I do. And she was like, I would be honored. And so we just started planning it. And I think that was this year.
Okay.
That we kind of just like hit it off, and we just we're doing a big event together. So, we're doing it to raise money for them, but the major thing is to bless all the kids in the community.
Yeah. So, were you born and raised here in Albuquerque? Mm-hmm. You've been in school your whole life?
Valley.
So, okay. Growing up, were you like how do I ask this question? Like, because I remember. I've grown up here my whole life, but I left to go down to Roswell for 6 years. I went to school down there. Mm. Growing up, when did it become evident to you? Because you said you wanted to help kids your whole life. Like, when did it become evident to you, like, there's actual, like, real problems going on in your community? Was there, like, a moment to you, or was it kind of just, like, slow burn over time?
4th grade. And I'll say that's when the idea blossomed to want to give back. And I'll tell you, it's because when you're awarded the state, and I don't know who does it to this day, but there's maybe some organization that gets things together for kids of the state and gifts them. So being that me and my sisters are awarded the state, we used to get like gift boxes for Christmas. And at Adobe Acres Elementary School, I was in class, I'll never forget, in my metal desk, and we received our box for Christmas, and it had like pajamas, crayons, coloring books, all that stuff, but there was a teddy bear in there. I still have that teddy bear to this day. That teddy bear made me so happy at the moment, given where I was going through already with my mom, everything that we'd been through already. It was that act of kindness, whoever put that teddy bear in there, I'll never know. But that made me feel like something I wasn't feeling in a long time. And like I was only in 4th grade, but it meant that much that I was like, one of these days I want to make a kid feel this good to just do something nice for them.
Yeah.
So it was literally my whole entire life. And I've always been a giving person. I've always done what I can and been there for people. So I think it's just always been in my nature. But in 4th grade is when it just kind of was like, one of these days, I'm going to do it.
So, and that actually leads right into what I was going to ask you next. obviously I've never ran my own business. I've never started my own stuff like that. That's awesome, but that's so out of my purview. I can't even imagine what it takes. Was because for a lot of people, when you're stuck in an environment that is so hectic, crazy, changing all the time, I'm sure not the best situations. You hear like there's a lot of people that get drive and motivation out of that, and then people that say, well, I look at my environment, might as well become a part of it. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why Albuquerque has the issues that it has. And it's like the snake that eats its own tail. Were there ever moments, like whether you were growing up, becoming an adult, or starting your brand for the first time, starting even this, where you're like I guess earlier on, where it's like, well, this is almost too much work. I don't know how I can do this. Did you ever hit like roadblocks like that?
Oh yeah. And I mean, I could just tell you that I'll be honest, if it wasn't for my husband, I don't know if I would even be where I'm at right now.
Who is in the studio with us today,
Yes,
ladies and gentlemen?
my husband, Russell Trujillo. He's I met him when I was 26, and I came from an abusive relationship. I had my son at 15, and like I said, growing up in the foster system, kids don't get an opportunity to feel like for people to believe in them, and so no one ever did. And so I had teachers and stuff in school, but of course we left and we moved on. But it was, I had something in me that I don't think I could have did by myself. With my husband, when I met my husband, he's been a business owner for over 30 years, and he just like inspired me, motivated me, and pushed me, and just like gave me the opportunity to be able to do what I'm doing today, as well as starting my own business. Like, he showed me how to do that. And he's been supporting me like the whole entire way. And so he's actually a huge part of why I wanted, he's going to make me cry, and that's why I don't look at him. It's literally because of how he has shown me what he has. I want to do that at the Bash. One day, 4 hours to all these kids, hopefully at one time. Show them love and hope and encouragement, and, have resources around for them, and just like empower them. Like, I really believe in my whole entire heart that it takes one act of kindness to change somebody's whole entire life. I mean, that's what it did for me. It started at 4th grade, and then I met my husband, and it's just an act of kindness really could change
The snowball effect.
the world. Oh my God. And nobody really understands that. Like, I'm trying so hard to get people just to come to this event, like 4 hours, an hour out of your day, and just show these kids how important they are, and you have no idea what you can do.
How long have you two been married?
16 years.
Wow.
No, 9 years together, 16 years.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
Both being entrepreneurs, both being business owners. Again, very hectic. A lot of uncharted waters, a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables on a day-to-day basis. What makes a marriage work like that when there's already so many variables with marriage anyway? Then you add entrepreneurship from both sides.
Oh my gosh. It's not easy because we both have our different opinions. I have strong opinions. He balances me. I'm the more aggressive one, the more opinionated, and he's like, we'll work it out. It's going to be okay. I'm like, no, it's not. But he balances me, and I think we're the complete opposite, but it works, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm not married, but I'm going to caveat that. I'm not married, but in my opinion, one of the most important teams that someone builds is the individual they decide to get married to, if they decide to. And I just know for myself in doing this, I've had to surround myself with people. Right, this is my own little entrepreneurial venture. I've had to surround myself with people that know what they're doing a lot better than I do, who can put graphics together, who can help me, who show me how to put equipment together, how to market, how to talk to people, because I was so antisocial, very closed off before all this. So to juxtapose that with not only picking a life partner, but you two are entrepreneurial at heart, and then you you both have experience in doing this, but you have to build your own teams with the organizations you're building. we can start generally, and we can get into it if you'd like. What's some like off the top of your head advice you would give to people that want to start either building a team with, okay, I want to go into this kind of I just want to make my own business. I want to do a startup by myself, or I want to start an idea I have. What type of people do you look for? It's like, okay, whatever business we're going to go into, I want to work with you. Or maybe, you just displayed that kind of behavior, or you carry yourself this kind of way. I don't want to work with you. Do you have that kind of vetting system for yourself?
I try to be open with people. I come from the corporate world, so it's been a lot to learn how to be my own. I mean, my husband's taught me what he can, but his company is completely different than mine. I've had to teach myself through YouTube and Facebook groups.
One of the most invaluable tools right now is YouTube.
He's literally my best friend.
Same.
Literally my best friend taught me how to build my website from scratch on to even do an event. I had no idea how to do an event before this. I birthday parties. I was a pro at birthday parties. I could throw the best birthday party for my kids. Do this, it just came. I really believe that God puts things in your path, and when you feel something so strongly, you gotta just do it.
Yeah.
I was afraid for so many years to take a chance, and I just stopped being afraid to take a chance, and I take maybe too much chances. But you know what? I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't take any chances, and fear ain't gonna get you nowhere.
Yeah.
So you really just have to do it. If there's something in your heart that you really, really want to do, I'm a big believer in prayer, and I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and God will put things in motion for you. He really, really will.
If you don't mind me asking, how much in the root of your marriage is Christianity?
All of it. My husband's, he's teaches us the Bible. He reads to us. He does Bible study for the whole family. He really incorporates God into our whole lives.
How important do you think that is to have? Obviously, we use Christianity because that's your belief system, and it's mine as well. How important do you feel that is to a family unit, especially today?
It's very important. It really is. I really believe that without God, there's no structure. There's so many things don't go right. And when I say that, I say from experience. Mm-hmm. I say from experience. I wasn't always a strong believer, and I didn't always put God first like I do now, but and things just weren't going right. And I know that was why, and I've become a humble person, a good person, and with everything I do with love, and God really blesses me all the time. Sometimes I get so I start crying sometimes because I'm just I know that was you. Thank you. And even with this event, because it is a Christian-based event, and I want everybody to know that everyone involved really, truly comes into it with their whole heart. And Family Life Radio, they're huge in this event, and they help me so much. Pastor Steve Stucker, he's one of our MCs. They hear about this, and they just God just puts the right people into this event, which makes it so. Steve Stucker, Channel 4.
Yeah, was he the weatherman?
He is.
Right. Okay.
He's a pastor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea he was a pastor.
I didn't either until recently. I was like, wow. And he also has an amazing nonprofit, Beds for Kids, I believe it's called. Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be at our event. He's gonna be one of the MCs along with Elisa Myers from Family Life Radio.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And you don't even have to get into the just in general conversation into the political minutia of it, but we're just living, and I ask those questions because we live in a time right now where just everything's kind of getting just flipped on its head. And in my opinion, half of it seems to be a political agenda, and the half of it just seems people just want to turn things over and see what happens, right? It's kind of as a weird joke of an experiment. Let's just completely disregard everything we've been following for the last hundreds of years and just see what happens. And that's why everyone is so divided, in my opinion. And you mentioned something very important where your life, it turns out better and things are better for you the closer you walk with God. And that's what I tell a lot of my friends that aren't Christians, because I have a few that aren't, and well, more than a few that aren't. And that's why I tell them, like, look, my life isn't perfect, and I know that it's never going to be, but for, at least obvious reasons to me, but in general, for one reason or another, whenever I find myself walking closer to God, having my life more structured around my faith and doing more of what I know I'm supposed to be doing, things just turn out better.
Yeah.
They tend to turn out better. And another thing I'll tell them is, even if you don't believe in Christianity, if you don't believe in God or Jesus, any of that, okay, fine. If you take the principles of what that religion teaches, the most basic principles out of that, and apply it to your life, I'm not sure how you can go wrong.
So true.
I'm not sure how that goes wrong for you. And I think today's you tell some people this and you get looked at like a weirdo or like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
But it's the family unit is really getting kind of upheaved right now. And again, that's not to be political or to alienate anybody. This is kind of the truth. And I think in a time right now where I think divorces are like 73%. I think 73% of divorces.
Really high.
Or 73% of marriages end in divorce. A really interesting quote that I heard was that marriage isn't a single marriage. It's a string of marriages put together that form one long relationship. Thus far, have you found that to be the truth? Where because I guess the idea behind it is like people are growing together and you go through different phases of life, but the one constant is marriage. Have you found that in your relationship as like, maybe not like multiple marriages put together, but like there's a lot of growing that happens, and a lot of people say like, well, some days you have to choose marriage. It's not just the thing that falls into your lap and you're happy to get like you're a 5-year-old getting a toy on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
But some days you have to choose marriage. I mean, I ask that because I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear. It's not just like sunshine and rainbows. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. And it's not. And somebody who says they have a perfect marriage, they're lying.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work. I mean, I know I'm different, and I don't know how he puts up with me half the time, but he does. He's very patient. He's very, very patient. And we both come from different past relationships, I think, that have built us different. That kind of did sculpt us for marriage, honestly. I never thought that I would get married in a million years before my husband. But he was just so different. Like, so everything that I've ever prayed for since I was growing up. I saw my mom get beat and just really bad stuff. And I was just like, that's not someone I want. So I always prayed for a good man, a good person for my kids. And he's raised my boys. We have a 14-year-old together, and he's raised my 24 and 18-year-old. And they love him to death. And I really do think that, yeah, our past before we met built us for each other. Yeah. I never really stopped to think about that, honestly. So thank you for putting me on the spot. But it makes a lot of sense. And I think that's what makes it work, honestly. And maybe that's why a lot of marriages fail, because they don't they just jump to divorce right away. Yeah. Instead of, and I don't know. I just know from my experience that I think it's from what we both been through, his last relationship, mine, that's kind of what made us work all these years. I've never been with anybody as long as him, and it's worked. My kids, it was my oldest son that kind of hooked us up. He was the neighbor. My son really liked him, and I think my son felt it in his heart that I really like this guy for us. And so he would go talk to him at the fence, go visit him, and start conversations. I'm like, what is my kid doing over there? Like, you don't even know this guy. And he just it just was like meant to be the way. Awesome. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Beautiful.
That's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. my brain kind of went to. You ever watch the old sitcom Home Improvement with Tim Allen?
Oh God, yes.
Came out in the '90s when he goes out to the back to talk to Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Half his face is blocked off by the fence.
Yeah, it's like my son and my husband.
He goes out to get advice from him because Tim's an idiot.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're gonna have to tell him that one because it's kind of the way it was. One side of the fence. He was always cleaning the yard, and my son would just make it a point to go over there and start conversation.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so having, like I said a little bit earlier, having organizations like your own kind of step in and be able to help out families where they can. When you started Jump Into School, what was like your initial idea behind it? Because I know that ideas evolve and they get better. Some parts change. What was like the initial idea behind it?
Yeah, and it has changed a lot. And really, the number one thing, I really just wanted to get kids from the community and bring them to this one place to make them feel important, empowered, and for everyone involved to empower them and encourage them and show them that, to give them free school supplies. That's probably one of the main things we do. We want to get them ready for school. And sometimes they can't afford backpacks and stuff, everything we need. The list for schools are crazy, first of all. Yeah. And we just wanted to help give a jump start for them. So the first year we had tons of school supplies and we gave them away. And then the second year, same thing. This year we upgraded and we're giving actual backpacks full of school supplies to awesome. Each kid. So that was really the main goal. The main goal though is not even having to do with the school supplies. It's really to just bring these kids to one place and everyone that I get involved to really just focus on them, empower them, talk to them, love them, tell them nice things, get them to play a game with them. We're going to have a sports corner, a lot of I-9 sports and stuff like that. Duke City Gladiators, if the little girls are interested in cheerleading, but they're afraid, because I was always afraid to do something. So I know that kids won't really do it. If they don't have somebody pushing them, you could do it. That's really good. That's a good arm, something like that. They're going to have it here. They're going to have it. There's Sheriff's Department, APD, Fire and Rescue. They're all here to be a resource and an encouragement for these kids. Look, this is what you could do.
That's awesome.
When you get older.
Well, that's how you shape for future generations.
Mm-hmm.
I only have an associate's in criminal justice, which is the equivalent of a participation trophy. But but I remember one of the core things that we were taught and we talked about was the most effective policing method until now. Obviously, this is pre-2020 and this is pre all the insanity that's been happening. But the most effective policing method in America across the board was the police officers who had a policy of getting out of their squad cars and either walking the street or riding their horse or whatever they did in their municipality, because that put, especially in smaller communities, because everyone knew who the cops were, who the sheriffs were. Yeah. That's why it's still a thing. Thankfully, for AFR, I have one of my roommates he's not here right now, but one of my roommates is an AFR. Another one, good of my buddies, is Bernalillo County Fire, and that's why they have public access to the firehouse to bring kids by so they can check out a fire truck. Every kid likes a big red fire truck, right? And then I feel a real detriment that happened in Albuquerque a few years ago was over time, a lot of the community centers started closing. And that's kind of what you guys are doing. That's one of the first thing that came to mind is especially during the summer when the kids are out of school, if a parent can't afford a babysitter or can't afford a private daycare center, you could bring your kid to the community center. It's free. They hang out. They play basketball, play football. They get lunch. They have staff that's paid, and it's funded through the state and all that kind of stuff. But as that starts to kind of dwindle away, then it's kids with free time typically isn't the best idea, whether it leads to more detrimental things like crime and violence, or it leads to health issues, just playing video games all day long,
eating
watching
Takis
TV
all day long.
You're speaking from experience?
Yes, I am. I hate Takis already.
That's funny. No, yeah, it's the unoccupied kids who don't really have a whole lot of guidance, and they don't have Not just mentors or people to look up to, but people in their community to look up to. So
Exactly.
they tend, and it's just because of ignorance and immaturity, they tend to find the wrong ones. So promoting stuff like this and continuing to do it, and it's awesome to hear that you guys are growing in such size. That's fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
getting these kind of like resources out and letting people know what's going on. Are you guys holding it at that same arena area that you were talking about a little earlier, or is it somewhere different?
It's the same one as last year.
Yeah.
But the first year,
Okay.
it was at a parking lot.
Right, parking lot. Right, so it's the same place as last year, right? Okay, awesome.
And they call me. They're like, "When are you planning your next date?" We want, because they love it, and the posse, the directors, the people that own it, they're amazing. They're so helpful. We actually, it's so much work and it's such a big event that we actually take our trailer and stay there for 3 days.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, because we all day on Friday we'll set up. We'll let everyone set up early, and then we have to stay there, of course, and watch people's stuff and wake up super early and start hitting it again for everyone that didn't come before, and doing all the last minute stuff. So it's a lot of work, but everyone that's involved is just so like giving and helpful. So
Well, there's a huge need for it, and it's awesome that, especially like with Locker 505, that they're getting their name out, they're getting the word about who they are and what they do. Because I remember reading a little bit before I sat down with Kim, I read about how they got broken into, and their stuff got stolen, bikes got stolen, but then 90% of it got replenished inside like a week or something, just because the community's been kind of like there's just been this void for this kind of stuff. So when there's the ability to not only help people out, but like where your stuff is going to, I feel like there's a huge amount of distrust in just organizations these days,
yeah.
whether it's nonprofits, whether it's the government,
I've been feeling it. Because I mean, and I'm not too established, 3 years, and people are like, "How's this girl
yeah,
that we don't even know just doing this event? Like, how is she doing something so big?" And it's just certain community members that want to do it too. So
yeah,
it's hard though,
yeah.
getting sponsors and stuff. It's not easy, and we have a few though that have come the whole 3 years, which is pretty amazing.
That's all. Like who? That's awesome.
Well, Advanced Compressor Systems is one of them. My husband's company. Not only do they sponsor financially, but they physically work.
Yeah.
Build me stuff. Whatever I need, they're there the day of, the day before. My husband's getting ready to build me a stage.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my sons. Yeah, so, I mean, they really get involved, and they're there just whatever I need.
That's so
They're
cool.
there. And Roadrunner Ready Mix, they've been with me 3 years. Also, very amazing people. And Magic Mirror has been with us. She rents our jumpers and the Magic Mirror. She's been with us 3 years. And Family Life Radio, actually, they've been with us 2 years, but she was going to be with us the first year, but she wasn't able to. But there's a few. Oh, Head to Toe Studio. They actually come in and do little girls' manicures for free. And so that's pretty cool.
That's pretty
'Cause
cool.
What event do you go to and they're doing manicure gel on the kids' nails? But yeah, we've had a few people, and it's been a blessing. This year we're having last year we had free haircuts, just a few barbers. This year we're having way more barbers. Haircuts are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm like my kids once a month now.
Same. I get my haircut once a month.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I don't even understand it. I mean, that all happened with the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So why did they continue it? I know everyone got to make money, but
Yeah.
$30 a haircut?
Yeah.
You have like 3 kids at home.
Yeah. It's a cell phone bill. It's almost a
It
car
really
payment.
is.
Yeah.
I trying to convince my son to go to barber school just to cut all of the boys' hairs, and he's like, I'm not doing it. But yeah, I'm hoping one of these days, very soon, that they'll come down on that. But let's see.
No, that's awesome that you're having like, not only that the event exists, it's growing, and then you're having community support come in and like put on for you guys. As it's growing and your scope has been growing, what does a potential like 1, 2, 3 years further for you look like? Have you thought about that yet?
No, I could barely think of this one. It's so much, and this whole event, because like my whole entire heart and soul goes into it. So I don't even focus on anything else at home until this is over. Like when it's the month before, it's like game on. I don't know. I don't know. APD and Sheriff's Department has been with me too for 3 years, and they love it. They love it. So I have, and then fire in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue jumped with me last year, and they're just like whatever you need. They even bring in their helicopter, the Sheriff's Department,
that's cool.
last year. Well, they were going to, but we ended up getting another one. But they like get so involved in it. So I think they'll be with me forever as long as I have this. I just people have told me, I think you're gonna outgrow the arena. I'm like, how can I outgrow? The next level up from that, right, is the Bloom Fiesta. I can't even picture myself though. I can't even picture that, but I do want to grow this. Like I want to bring people in from all over New Mexico.
Yeah.
All over New Mexico.
Well, I think Locker 505 is a great place to start for that, because they were telling me, or Kim was telling me, how they have these like remote people that go out to the smaller communities. And I think the furthest down they've gone at this point, I want to say they went to Berlin and did a little like pop up for them down there. And then they went north to, I want to say they made it to Vegas. My memory is horrible, but
I know they work with a few like Valencia County.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know she's we actually were on a call not too long ago with the Cilena for sponsorship, and they actually were asking her if she would go help the kids out there in the Pueblo.
That's awesome.
So I think that's kind of like her area too. So yeah, like sky's the limit to
So-
help kids.
For people that want to start doing like their own types of events, or like have no idea where to go, like logistically, what are some like let's say like year one, some logistical type issues that you ran into, and how did you get past them? Like whether it was like scheduling, setting things up, getting sponsors together, like getting supplies together, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, the sponsorship's a little hard because everybody asks for sponsorships. There's so many events or things that are going on that people are sponsoring. So when you reach out to a company, they either already have a plan on who they're sponsoring or they have budgets.
Yeah.
And so that's been a struggle, is the sponsorships. You have to get to know people and hit it early. Everyone that's helped me, I've not just asked for money. I've built like a little relationship with them, and they trust me. So Roadrunner Ready Mix, they already know. They love what I'm doing. They put their trucks there, and they want to help me. So you got to kind of build relationships. Don't just ask for money. That's my opinion.
No, I agree.
Everybody asks for money. Everybody
agree.
does, and you just really got to be genuine in what you're doing. And I've been told several times that when I'm talking to somebody, they could feel the passion. They could see the passion, and just like be real about what you're doing, and be humble, and people will help you. So we got a lot more sponsors this year than we did last year. McDonald's is always one of our sponsors too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's they own one that has 6 locations. They're gonna be raffling off bikes.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's just like, and then not even that, but staying strict to this, you got to be a good person. Like you have to be a good person. You got to be honest with what you're doing, and you got to kind of stay the same throughout the whole process. And so I've had a lot of people refer people to me that I don't even know. Like Isleta Casino reached out to me, and when I told my best friend about that, she was like, they don't help nobody. I was
That is the most New Mexico sentence I've heard all day.
Right? She's like, they don't give money because they're the Pueblo, and
It goes against the business model. They
Right.
don't give away their money.
they don't like to. But they heard about me at a award a ceremony that my best friend received an award, and she said that she was a committee member for the Jump In2 School Bash. And so they were reading an article and it mentioned the Jump In2 School Bash, and that's how they found me and reached out to help me. And so the relationships I've built, they talk to other people and they're like, you got to get involved in this event. And I still don't, I believe in it, but I don't even like, I think people believe in it more than I do sometimes. Even though it's there, I guess I just can't, my head just don't get big. I'm just like, well, everyone should help out. Why isn't everyone just being kind of like, why are you doing this? Well, why not? Why aren't you doing this? Don't you have it in your heart to like give back or help when you can?
Yeah.
And so we've just been blessed with a lot of people wanting to help.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you say that, because I think it's just the idea of supporting other people in general is a tough sell in New Mexico for some reason. 'Cause I talked to a lot of people and I've made a lot of friends in like the music industry here and the comedy industry here and that whole scene. And it, like you were saying earlier, you know, it takes a bit for people to see like, okay, yes, I'm here, I'm doing this thing. Like, it's not like established. It's my first year doing it, but this is the plan. This is how we're doing it. Okay, fine. See you next year, whatever. Next year rolls around. It's like, oh, okay, they're doing the same thing, but just bigger. Okay, now we'll attach our name to it. Now we'll put it out there. Now we'll support it. And I think it's just because a lot of people, I think in general, I think there's a lot of skepticism. I think just people are kind of sick of being lied to.
Oh, yeah.
And which is that obviously no fault of people trying to create their own thing and, you know, come up with their own stuff. But it is a tough,
it's hard for people to trust you.
Yeah, it's a tough hurdle to cross. I mean,
I've been trying to get the Gladiators for a long time, and I stayed persistent.
They're indoor football, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted the Gladiator cheerleaders to perform for me, and I 2 years I tried, and finally the other day I got them. So you really have to be persistent too. I think sometimes what I've noticed this year is that a lot of people are busy too, or they hear, if they've never heard about you, they're like, oh, just another person asking for money. But if you stay persistent, sometimes it shows them like, wow, maybe we should really check it out. You keep reminding them about you. This isn't just a little event. Like, you got to check this out. If you just look at my social media, I promise you'll like what you see. And I always tell people, just go to Jump In2 School Bash, check it out, and tell me what you think.
Well, and one of the cool things about New Mexico, and it can be detrimental to people who don't have the right intentions and aren't going about things with the most, like the most pure intentions, is New Mexico and Albuquerque is so small that everyone knows everybody somehow. Right?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I might not know you directly, but I know your cousin. I know your mom. I know your uncle. I know your ex-girlfriend. I know your husband. I know, whatever connection. Everyone is connected in one way or another. So with what you're doing, at least I've found this as well, if you can't make that connection or if something doesn't work out, fine. If you keep at it one way or another, that person or that organization, they're going to find out about you 3 other different ways. So maybe I should help them out. Maybe I should attach my name to them, because that's how I think it's a bit tough to build a good reputation in Albuquerque, but once you do, it sticks.
Yeah.
You become that trusted name amongst like an actual community of people.
Right.
Because we're not like LA or like Austin or New York or like Chicago, where it's so big. Everybody's in a rush. Everyone has a nonprofit. Everyone has a fund. Everyone's got a podcast. Like, everyone's doing their kind of stuff. But here in New Mexico, for whatever reason, as long as you're just consistent with it, it's always like the Lana Manada. Like, people are like, oh, I'll do this later. Maybe I'll do it sometime. But people who actually stick with what they're doing, it does pay you back in dividends later on. And I'm glad you're really like reaping some of those benefits now, going on your 3rd year. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And the biggest benefit that I get out of this is the fulfillment of seeing those kids happy and excited. I know there's some people that don't want to help me because they think that I make a lot of money off of this. But the truth is I make $0.
Yeah.
Everything goes to the nonprofit. Everything filters to the nonprofit. I get 0 money. And so I think because people don't know facts and they just assume is why another reason why they don't want to help you. But when you build that relationship and you like, I get a lot I get involved in the community a lot. I'm a member of the Hispano Chamber. I'm a member of the Women in Business Committee. And I'm always helping everybody. I get involved to help events and help people do all kinds of stuff. So that's how I've gotten myself out there. And within Bosswear too. I've done fashion shows and just lots of stuff. I've worked with so many women, so many women. And then, so it builds my reputation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, I think that people assume things sometimes. I've gone through it all with this event. This event has helped me just see clearly.
Yeah.
People and everything. What I don't want for it, what I do want for it, who I don't want to work with. Now I'm not afraid to tell people, well, I'm sorry, maybe this isn't the event for you.
Yeah.
It's just, you learn a lot doing something so big. Like you have to walk like a straight line though, because people are always like trying to find something to knock you.
Yeah. What are your for a better term, what's a red flag for you that pops up with a potential business partner or just like someone wants to come out and they say they want to sponsor you, but then a thing happens and it's like, oh, maybe this isn't the right event for you. Is there anything like that comes to mind?
I think when it seems like what's in it for me, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
It just, I find a way to there's lots of other events. Like it's, and I get it. We all work hard and then you don't have to, have to be involved. That's fine. But, at the end of the day, if you're not giving back or it's some way doing for others, I mean, I'm not asking everyone that gets involved in this to empty their wallets. It's like even volunteering your services. Yeah. We have people coming in and buying hundreds of rocks out of their own pocket and painting them with the kids. It's a rock paint. It's really, really cool. And out of their own pocket, they're coming in and they're my sponsor because they're providing an amazing activity for the kids. It's not necessarily always helping with money. It's just coming in and being a bigger resource at this event for these kids. So yeah, that's...
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with, and I think people can kind of get that misconstrued because there's nothing wrong with going to business with somebody for mutual benefit. It's business. That's the point. But when people go in there as like a leech,
that's what I don't like.
Exactly.
Because honestly, and I bring so many businesses to promote them. Yeah. That's what it's about too. We're gonna have the news there, and that. This is a perfect place to promote your business as well. So I do try to help small businesses, and I bring them in as vendors, and I try to. I mean, I can't name all of them because there's so many, but I promote and I let people know there's gonna be vendors here. There's this and that, and it is a place to grow your business, but it's not a place to just come in and I got a lot of vendors that didn't come back this year, and I'm not really sure why. But they didn't, and so I have a lot of some that did, and a lot of new ones. Yeah. And it's just however we think. I don't know. Everyone has their own.
Well, things tend to ebb and flow, and I think, like you said, if you go into things with the right intent, I'm not, and I will never be a energy or if the stars align or if you just manifest. I think that's a bunch of nonsense for the most part. But I really do think that whether it's, you want to call it, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whatever someone wants to categorize it as, I think it or he is a very giving and rewarding force. And if you go about your life as well as you can with the right intentions, you shake people's hands, you look at them in the eye, you go into business deals, or relationships, whether it's a business relationship, a personal relationship, romantic relationship. If you go into all of these things with the right intentions, you're not going to be perfect, but it'll probably work out for you. It probably will. Because again, after so long, and quite frankly, that's why I love doing the podcast. I love hanging out with people, meeting new people, but I think after about 2.5 years, I think generally when you sit down with somebody, they have about if they're really good at it, a solid 20 to 30 minutes of BS inside of them. And then it's like, okay, now that the scripted lines are out and now that the automated responses that people are used to saying, okay, now what are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
What's going on in your head? And then it kind of just, so I think that happens a lot in business. If you're getting with somebody or business conversations are happening, you can kind of see through it if you're able to maneuver quite well. And that's, I would think that's like a hidden benefit of running your own stuff and going out and doing your own marketing and networking and strategizing and all that kind of stuff, is you really do find out, like, as a benefit, the great people in your community.
Right.
And you build those relationships and you keep going. And like I was saying a little bit earlier, being able to show the community, being able to show kids specifically, especially today, with all the narratives that are going on, that, not all police officers are horrible people.
Right, exactly.
Because that's what's just getting shoved down their throat, whether it's, I think, like, the average age right now for a kid to be on social media is like 10 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, when their policy is 13.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the average right now is like 8 to 10 years old. Kids are getting on social media. So what are they seeing, right? They're seeing that cops are horrible. They're probably getting told that at school.
Or at home.
They're getting told that at home. And if they're not getting told that at home, their friends are getting told that at home, and kids get together.
I've
my
heard
dad told me this.
Yeah.
Well, my mom told me this. Well, my drunk uncle told me this. And then, and they get this hodgepodge of nonsense. So
that's why it's really important to have them there.
Yeah.
And they interact so well with the kids. So I'm so thankful to APD and Sheriff's Department and Fire and Rescue that they come every year, because I do want the kids to see the other side to that. I grew up with my uncles telling me, I don't want to say the name, but bad names about cops and, all this verbiage. And I know there's some, we watch the news. How could you not know? Yes, not all of them are perfect. But
not all cops are perfect, but guess what? Not every plumber is a great plumber.
Not all doctors are good. Nurses. Yeah, it's you can't judge one. You can't judge them all by just one.
Yeah.
So and so when they come, I love to honor them as well, because they do what we won't do out there, and they put their lives on the line for us. So I really appreciate them, and I want the kids to see that different side of the social media and the bad stuff about them.
Because then you create kids that, in theory, they go back to school, they go hang out with their friends, whatever it is, and if that subject comes up and, they hear some of their friends saying, oh, well, cops are this and cops are that, the kid thinks back to something like this. And they say, well, that's not the experience I had.
Exactly.
And now you start critical thinking. So, well, maybe not all experiences are the same. Just maybe, not every experience is the same.
Right.
And just maybe not everyone in a single profession is the same. And I think that's a huge benefit, aside from obviously helping them get ready for school and getting them supplies and letting them have a great day together. There's long-term effects in community building that's kind of getting lost right now.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of getting lost in Albuquerque specifically. So that's why I jumped at the chance of when you shot me a message with all this. Like, I think this is awesome.
Well, I saw Kim and I was like, that's kind of perfect. We're kind of working together. So, yeah, and you know what? Every little girl receives a crown when they come in.
That's cute.
Every little girl. And the boys if they want. The first year we had even the boys on their, because it was a cowboy theme, all the boys had their crowns on their thing, and the little girls were getting their nails done with their crowns on. Oh my God. This is about me. This is about me. And the boys get little badges, and we do like a Western theme. So we make them feel so important. They end up leaving with tons of stuff, free stuff, tons and tons. And,
and to kind of juxtapose that to what we talked about a little bit earlier about how you grew up, to you, what's the imperative behind making a kid feel important?
I think that gives kids hope. I think you need to, do a lot that I didn't get growing up. So it's really important to make them feel like they're loved, because like if they go home, some of these kids go home to really bad situations. We have no idea. And like we said earlier, the system's not that great. So they stay stuck in that situation. And so if we can give them this opportunity, this community event, I wish I could do it more times a year, but at least once a year where they know and they come and they could feel valued and important and see all the opportunities in their life. Like, I think we achieved what we were trying to do.
I agree. And I think it's like the rule of influence where, generally speaking, whether it's positive or negative, everyone influences 3 people that's like in their wingspan, right? And so when you do something like this and it's multiplied so much, this is the type of stuff that, like you were saying a little bit earlier, it inspires people to help out, maybe in the same way, maybe helping out the event or going out and promoting it, or it inspires the community to help out more whenever they see the chance. So again, I think the more you do stuff like this and the more that people like Locker 505 and you guys get together and do this, I think it just multiplies over time and over time and over time and over time.
Right.
And this is not going to be a shock to anyone who's listened to this podcast before. It's like I've talked to any of my friends. I don't like the government. I don't like them very much. But I would like to see some of our local government get involved with stuff like this.
That
right?
would be nice, yeah.
And not that I would ever advocate for lying to kids, but, you know, maybe just so, even if they don't mean it, just for a kid to see, hey, this is the person this is your mayor. This is your governor. This is what a representative, or your representative or your senator. And then maybe they ask the question, whether it's at home or at school, hey, what does this person do? Mm-hmm. Right? Get kids to kind of think about what's around them, who is around them, who are the people they should be looking up to. I
agree 100%.
And putting like a face to the name.
Right.
I think that'd be really beneficial. And then getting people like, you know, the police involved, the firefighters, Family Life, again, Steve Stucker showing up, having these kind of mainstays in the community. Mm-hmm. Like, that dude was my weatherman when I was like that big.
I know.
Like,
right?
He's been doing it for like 2 decades or something.
And then when the Bloom Fiesta comes on,
yeah,
you see him with the pins and the white
hat.
Yeah. So, yeah. He's a huge benefit to the event this year. I'm so happy to have him, and he has a huge following.
Yeah.
So I think a lot more kids are going to be are going to show up, and a lot more kids. That means a lot more kids come, and we give them what we're giving them, and they go out in the world and they can utilize it. Yeah. Hopefully, you know, you just never know. So the more kids we can reach and get them to this event, it's pretty powerful. So
I agree. I do want to pick your brain a little bit about your fitness brand that you have. I'm a big fitness person myself. When did you start all of that? Why did you start all of that?
I started it 2 years ago.
Okay.
I started it 2 years ago. And honestly, I was going through confidence struggles within myself. And you have to compare yourself a lot to these models and this and that, and I knew friends that were going through the same thing, and I just like I said, it's always been in my heart, like, how can I help others? But I started this to kind of help myself, and I was like, how can I help myself love myself more and feel better within my skin and stop putting myself down so much? And so I decided to do this to help other women with the same struggles, therefore I was helping myself. So I work with a lot of ladies. When I do the fashion shows, I don't pick I pick models, but I don't pick all models. I have all kinds of different bodies in my fashion shows, and I'm completely real with the women that put on my stuff. And I've had so many women from all ages. I mean, I've had over a 50-year-old woman in my fashion show, and she looked hotter than hell. Hot. Very beautiful. And like all ages, they're like, they say, well, what's your target? I don't really have a target audience. I target everybody, because everyone should feel good within their skin. It shouldn't be just my age bracket or all these women struggle with self-esteem issues.
Well, whether it's like anorexia, body dysmorphia,
Yes,
stuff like that,
it's
bulimia,
bad.
yeah.
And social media doesn't help.
But what blew my mind is when I think it was like, because we're in July right now. So yeah, about this time last year when the Facebook whistleblower came out and they were questioning her over and over again in front of a congressional hearing. They talked about Facebook and they talked about all the political stuff behind it, but what really didn't get a lot of attention, which kind of blew my mind, was Instagram specifically had data that showed that it was causing women between the ages of 13, it was like 13 to 28 or 13 to 25. They had data that showed how it was affecting their specifically anorexia. They could quantify it. And it was like, okay, how much usage correlates to how much they're struggling with it. And that's just obviously off stuff that they have, like people self-reporting or maybe getting reported if they're a minor, getting reported by a family member, right? But how much of that is unreported, right? So the fact that they could sit down and quantify that, but then do nothing about it because it makes $1, because it continues these high-level brand deals with these high-level models. And it was... Because everyone kind of knows that. I hadn't
heard about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can Google it. Yeah, they have data that shows it. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head because math is not my subject.
Yeah.
But the fact that they let it just perpetuate and let it fester, just they could let the Kardashians keep their brand deal with Gucci or Versace. You know what I mean? It's absolutely mind blowing to me. When you're building this brand, because I'm a big advocate of, I think fitness should be for everybody, and I'm also an advocate for, like, I don't think anyone should be shamed for the way they look. I don't think anyone should be shamed for like what they're doing to their body or whatever it is. But I mean, I think there are, and these kind of, and again, blew my mind. These got kind of like thrown out the window when COVID happened. I think that there is a lot of like, I think we are the third leading country, I think, or second leading country when it comes to obesity. And so, you know, when it comes to like building a fashion brand, how did you get it out to people? It's like, no, we're not here to be like everybody else. We're not here to like, maybe big fitness brands don't directly shame people, but they can sometimes. How did you get that messaging out? Was that a problem for you? Was that an issue like first starting? It's like, hey, we fitness is for everybody. We're trying to get everybody in shape here. Trying to get everybody on the train.
Yeah, because even plus size women, I think they've struggled with that so much that they're afraid to just come out. And so I make every woman with every body type feel beautiful. I've had women in the fashion shows, plus size women, that they just come out, but I don't allow them to talk about it. And I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say that I don't put myself down sometimes, because I still do and I work on it. But like when the women are around me, they're in my store or they're shopping or whatever, they're not allowed to put themselves down. And I try to pull out the beauty in them, like, you're beautiful in your own skin. And I've been able to make a lot of plus size women just feel so good and just put on the sports bra with the matching leggings and model for me, be in reels and videos, and I just love it. That problem is so big though. It's like I wish I could. It's just really hard to reach out to those ones. It really is. It's just because social media.
Yeah. Well, I think something a lot of people in that situation need to hear is like, okay, you're overweight, you're plus sized. Okay, you're not in the best state right now health wise, but you're doing something about it. You're going to the gym. You're going on walks. You're doing something to better yourself. Whereas most people, let's be frank, most people aren't. Most people in this country are not. That is why companies like Amazon, where they just like, when they found out how they could get groceries to the house, when they found out how you could one-click pay for some Hot Pockets, I'm not gonna say I've never done that, but you know what I mean? Like when they found out you're able to do that, they hopped on that opportunity, because people in this country, and it's statistical.
I don't get into that
Yeah.
I mean, I eat what I want. I don't go to the gym. I really don't. I don't lie about anything I do in Bosswear. I don't work out. I don't do fitness. I'm just too busy or I'm too lazy sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't like tell people what they have to eat. It's just like, you know what, this is the way it is. You have to
Right.
love yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what, you have to love yourself. Big, tiny, small, whatever, you have to love yourself. Like, your heart is what's important.
Yeah.
And if we look at all that stuff, you know, it kind of it defeats the purpose of them really loving themselves. And so, does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I would say too that, and I don't know this. Well, from my personal experience with it is, I did a men's physique competition last year, and I shredded down like crazy,
those are hard.
to an unhealthy size, but in the name of doing that, right? And then I saw like what could be, and then I gained my weight back, and I was like, don't like that, but I miss what that was. But then I have to remind myself, okay, well, what did it take to get to these like unhealthy levels of like, I think my body fat percentage dropped down to like 7%, I think. 7%.
Pretty good.
Yeah, 7% body fat. I went from like 186 to 151 in 3 months, 4 months. And I was like withering away. My girlfriend at the time, she was like, I like your abs, but like, you want a sandwich?
Are you hungry?
And I'm sitting withering away on the couch like, yeah, I love that.
Oh,
but,
please.
Oh, well. But no, I just think that there's a lot more. Okay, cool. I just living in this part of town. I hear a horn go off, and I'm like, I hope that's not my car.
I know.
But I think either any way that you see it or any way that you tackle it, I think there's a lot more positive to the fitness industry in general than there can be negative. But again, it's like everything else in our world. We were talking about the police a little bit earlier. Everything else, the negative is what gets clips. The negative is what gets it gets headlines. It gets clickbaity, right? Because people like to, for whatever reason, it just grabs our attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's hard not to.
yeah. So you've said you've been doing it for 2 years. Going back a little bit earlier about like building a team and stuff like that. Do you run that with anybody? Is it just you? Because I would imagine like doing this can take away from that. So how do you
It does.
how do you like time manage between all of that? Do you let other people like take over responsibility for that while you're doing this, or you just like put you on hold? I'm going to take care of you and then go back to wow.
So Bosswear gets put on hold for at least a month.
Yeah.
And then everything goes into this.
Wow.
And no, it's just me. I work with a lot of girls that
Yeah.
do TikToks for me and reels for me and promote my brand for me.
Good for you. That's
Oh,
if
yeah.
I ever make money off of this, the first thing I'm doing is hiring someone to do all my social media.
Yeah,
I
because
hate it.
Well,
I hate doing it.
I have this one girl that I'm working with now. I work with a lot of different girls, but one in particular, she loves to do the TikToks, and I cannot do the TikToks for the life of me, or the reels. And she's really good at it. Her name's Raquel. She owns Unique Nutrition, so she owns a nutrition club.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, off of 98th Street.
98th and what?
98th and Central. 98th and Central in that shopping center.
Oh, they're all like brown brick buildings?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I know where that's at.
Yeah, stop by, check it out. She makes some good shakes and some good teas. So she's one of my brand ambassadors I'm working with closely right now.
That's cool.
I work with a lot of women, like I said, though, but she's loves to do the TikToks. If you go to my Bosswear official, she's the blonde one. You'll see her in the majority of the TikToks. But yeah, I work with a lot of girls to do all the videos, and I just edit them myself, and I do all the social media and post. Social media takes a lot of time, though. I don't have nobody to do that for me, and I don't have the money to pay someone to do all that for me.
It takes a long time.
It takes a long time, and when I'm on the phone the most is at night when I have to do flyers or promoting or all my stuff. It's mainly at night, but it's a lot. But I have them all do the videos and the pictures and the photo shoots and stuff, and I just edit them.
That's
and
awesome.
Post it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just because I got off of all my social media it was like maybe, God, not even a month after the George Floyd incident happened and all the protests were going down.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
So back in 2020, it's like, okay, I'm done. I've done social media. I'm done. Like that was horrible. That was tragic. I'm done though. So I deleted everything. And then I got the idea for the podcast in like September of that year. I was like,
There you go.
I gotta get back on social media.
That's what happens. And I get sucked back to every time. I'm like, I just need a little break off social media, just a little tiny break. But that's how my business comes really
Flourishes.
through social media.
Yeah, that's how it flourishes. I got to take a break from social media for about a month. At the end of May, I went in for surgery and I paused the podcast and just wanted to focus on that. And that was recovering from surgery was the most like mentally peaceful part of my life I have had in a while.
I bet.
Because I was just not inundated with either. Because when not doing all this, I'm not really on my phone for social media that much. It's this and memes. That's it between me and all my other stupid friends. But other than that, it's just And I don't have like cause I'm sure you deal with this too, where like you have in the back like, oh, I should really post about this or promote this, or I need to get back to that email, or I need to get back to that message, and yeah, it's a lot of the back end stuff that people don't see.
Oh, I know.
It's good.
They think it's
Yeah.
easy. It's not. Yeah, I'm like, oh God, start a business. They said. Yeah, it's a constant. Like when you're a business owner, it's 24/7. Sometimes you're dreaming about your business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
bet.
on the weekends too. Like there's really no rest.
No.
We went on vacation recently, and my husband he's an owner, so he has to answer his phone because he's an owner.
Mm-hmm.
They have several employees, but he's the owner. If things fall or crumble, he has to
Step in. Right.
Yes. But we went on vacation and I was like, we are not answering our phones. Like, I don't care what. I'm not doing a TikTok. I'm not doing a reel. I'm not doing anything. We're going to enjoy this because we're going to come back and it's going to be work again. So,
Yeah.
so we enjoyed it. And then it was straight back to stress and work and reels and social media. Social media's a lot,
Yeah.
but it's how you grow your business.
So before we get out of here, just one more time about the event that's coming up, the date, the time, where it's going to be. You sent me a digital version of this, so I'll throw up a graphic of it.
And I'll send you the
when I'm
updated
editing.
one.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, date, time, place, what's going on again. Because I know a lot of my friends that listen to this, they'll kind of skim through the episode. So
Yeah.
brief about what's going on, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay. So the Jump In2 School Bash is Saturday, July 29th from 12 to 4. It's at the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Posse Arena. It's off 2nd and Alameda area. It's 10308 2nd Street Northwest. It's a free event for kids. We're giving away tons of school supplies. The first 500 kids get a backpack full of school supplies. We are going to have lots of activities, attractions, lots of resources, lots of games and music. We're going to have a DJ. It's going to be so much fun. Vendors, good food's going to be there. Just a fun full day to dedicate it to our kids to make them feel special and spend time with them.
And where can people find information about the event, whether it's social media, internet in general?
So we do have a Facebook and an Instagram, and you can find us on either or at Jump In2 School Bash. Or if you would like to volunteer, or you'd like to sponsor, or you'd like to get involved somehow, maybe not this year, but next year, you could email us at jumpintoschoolbash at gmail.com.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir, for coming as well. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. All right. That was fun.
That was amazing. I enjoyed that.
Oh, thank you.
First time I've been